Amit, that leads me to the next question, which is actually a continuation of what you spoke about. What after fundraising? So, like we just discussed, that there are enough companies who raised funds and still died. So clearly, there are challenges that you see among startups, which are common. So, what are these few common challenges which you feel all startups must address?
Okay, I think I'm going to boil down to three of them, which I've typically thought about. The first is that I think most of the startups I have seen, whether it is stemming from the fact that they're very, very passionate about what they're doing, building their product, going to the market, or the GTM strategies that they're typically building, they sometimes do not have financial discipline. And I think more often than not, I wouldn't even say sometimes, what really happens is they are not planning their finances. So most of the startups I've seen, they don't have a budget, which is the basic thing, right? So how much have I got? How much am I supposed to spend? How much are my fixed costs? And how much this money is going to last me? So the planning has to be there, because that runway is the key. Because when funds are in shortage, you know that you have funds for a specific time only. People don't really plan for that properly, and that is where the maximum problem happens. They may just become very excited and spend money on something which is not supposed to be spent. And that's precisely the reason when higher fundraisers happen, there are certain thresholds that are kept by the investors, that you cannot spend beyond a certain amount of money on certain things. And that's the reason they also have business plans which they need to strictly follow. So financial discipline is something that startups need to really take care of, and most of them really don't take care of that. The second that I think of are the people. The biggest challenge the startups are facing is talent. Nowadays, what happens? You're building a startup. You have a core team which is fantastic. You may be having rock stars in your team, but what really happens? The second line and the third line. Now you need to attract talent, because there are a lot of not only strategic but operational things also. And when that happens, you're trying to onboard talent, you're supposed to attract talent, and more important, retain talent. That is where the problem starts, because you are not able to pay them well. And sometimes it is not possible to only keep them motivated by showing them dreams, and having to take care of the aspirations, etc. So that these are the second this is the second thing that I think is very, very important, that startups are lacking nowadays, is attracting and retaining talent. And some of them are able to do that. So you can call it team management or man management skills that really need to be honed, very, very critical. And the third, which I feel, is that they are not taking care, some of them are not really taking care of very critical branding aspects, which means that they have forgotten the fact that if I may speak in Hindi and then translate it, jo dikhta hai wo bikta hai. Whatever you can see is generally sold. So they are not really taking care of their digital marketing efforts. They are not ensuring that they are present there. They are not really showcasing that yes, they are trying to solve a particular problem, because they are just sometimes too busy, as I said, in launching a product or working on a product. I think these are the three critical aspects that startups definitely should look at. Although some of them are taking care of the third aspect, being present on social media, etc., but they are not really regular. So I am a board advisor at about 4 companies. Out of that, I've been talking about and emphasizing on the fact that I cannot see you on social media. You are a B2C company. You have to be seen on the social media. And that is again coming from the fact that the funds are limited. They think that social media is expensive and they need to really pump in a lot of money. Uh, the traditional advertising obviously costs a lot of money, but this thing does not really cost of money. You have to be very smart and you can still be seen. So these are the three things that startups for sure should look at.
Yeah. So finance, people management, and visibility. And I completely agree with you, Amit. In fact, that is the gap which I'm trying to address as an entrepreneur coach. I specialize in helping entrepreneurs develop with their teams, because Zig Ziglar's famous quote: "You don't build businesses, you build teams, and then they build businesses." And
Yes.
a- and you know what, Amit, I've interviewed a whole lot of entrepreneurs because I've just written a book, and I've chosen these 4 entrepreneurs. My book is called Create Wealth by Creating High Performance Teams. So exactly what I said. And all four of them, the reason why I picked them up as case studies is they only spoke about their teams. And they said the reason why we are successful is because we managed to attract, hire, retain, and create a great company culture. And it is because of our teams that we are successful. None of them, for even once, said that it was because of us. And this is what we did. All they spoke about was their teams. The other thing that you spoke about was social media. And I will reiterate what you said. Social media today is not expensive. Visibility is not expensive. Advertising may be, but that's the next stage. Marketing doesn't have to be laden with advertising costs. In fact, I was speaking to a young startup, and that startup has a followership of 137 followers on their Instagram in a short period of 1 year because they focused on social media. They said, first, we will create the community, first, we will create the platform, then we will go and give our product and validate it with this community, whether the product really works or not. I thought it was a brilliant way to do things. So you're absolutely right. Startups don't focus on this. And thank you for giving a few tips as to what they need to do. And this brings me to the next question. And this is largely, Amit, for startups who come to you.
Yeah.
What is it that you're looking for? On what basis will you reject them? On what basis will you onboard them? So, Amit, if a startup is listening to you today, they should address this and then come to you for fundraising. So, what is it that they need to address? What is it that you look for? What is it that you reject as a, as somebody who helps fundraising?
Right. Thank you so much. I think it's a great question. Well, again, I don't know, since the last 20, 25 days, the three P's have stuck to me, and I always want to tackle them with the three P's. So in this case, the three P's will be people, product, and potential. The three things that we definitely look at for early stage startups when they come to us, whether we are helping them raise funds or we are investing our own money. I think you have really brought out that aspect very nicely, saying that great businesses are built by people, and I completely agree with that. And that's what you need to look at when you are evaluating any startup. The first thing which remains tangible, solid, and consistent, okay, which is, as I say, static, is going to be the people. I'm assuming that the founders and the team sticks together, and that is what you have to have a safe presumption about, because the product and potential may change over a period of time when you are iterating or reiterating the business, whatever you want to do it. So people, the founders team, or the core team that is there, we look at them. We look at whether these people are going to be the ones, they are going to translate the business plan into reality. So you should have various interactions with them, not only in a pitch environment or a formal environment, but also in an informal environment. I think the real values of a person or attitude of a person is generally known to you, or you can come to know about it when you sit in a very informal environment, maybe over a cup of coffee or a glass of beer. It really depends upon how you want to take it forward. And don't do it once. You have to do it probably twice or thrice to really figure out. So even when startups are evaluated on our platform, it's not that somebody comes and pitches, we look at the pitch and saying, oh, fantastic team, because they are from Ivy League colleges, or from their pedigree is fantastic, so we should onboard them. Minimum 3 to 4 interactions do happen. And unfortunately, we are not able to do a face-to-face or a physical interaction now, because we are in a challenging situation. Or else we always strive to meet them in person, because it's very, very critical that you meet somebody in person and figure it out. And even during Zoom calls, etc., we ask them that at least you should keep your video switched on, because we want to have a look at you, the way you are conducting yourself and the way you are interacting with us. As we always say, the eyes never lie. So we'll always see the sincerity, the attitude in the eyes, to figure out that, yes, this person is coming across as a very genuine person or not. So the people, that is the most important thing. The second is the product that you are building. A product can be a product or a service. I'm not differentiating. So when I'm saying a product, means a service as well. So whether that product is something that you're building is solid, is there a need for that product? If you have done something, have you thought about adding various layers or various features to that product over a period of time? So it really helps to understand whether the product today is important, it is relevant, and how relevant is it going to stay for a long period of time. If are you going to be getting innovation into it? So the latest example I always give nowadays is a company in which we have invested is in the electric vehicle space. What they're doing is they're building a product which can convert your normal bike, a two-wheeler bike, into an electric bike. So you don't need to buy a new bike. It's a retrofit. Just put the product or the engine into it, and your normal bike gets converted into an electric bike. So we asked them that, what are you going to do? Are you going to be converting India's bikes, all of them, into electric bikes? He said, no, that's not the idea. The idea is build a retrofit, say, do it for about 500,000 of them. And later on, I'm going to be having my own bike. So, which means that the founders are now thinking of the next step, saying that how many old bikes can you convert? So you will have to have your own new bikes in about 3 to 4 or 5 years time. So this is about product, and they're innovating, they're patenting their product. So it makes a huge difference. The third is, does the product have potential? Because what as investors of startups generally do, if I were to get only 13, 14, 15% returns, I wouldn't invest in startups. I want a 2x, 5x, 10x returns on the investments, because angel investing or early stage investing, as you know, you're an investor yourself, is a high risk, high return game. So if I am going to be putting in, say $100 in it, I will want to have $1,000 over the period of next to 3 to 4 years. And that's exactly what we want to look at. If the product has potential and it can grow exponentially, I think that's when we will want to put our money. So the 3 Ps always stick to me nowadays. I look at the people first, then the product, and then the potential. And I'd love to also add more Ps if you wish to.
More Ps. Okay, let's add a few more Ps. And Amit, to continue with that, so you've spoken about the 3 Ps which are essential that you look at. How can these Ps get represented on a pitch deck? So the reason why I'm saying this is, typically when you approach fundraisers like you, people who help raise funds and aspiring VC funds, the first thing that anybody asks for is the pitch deck. You don't have an opportunity to interact, talk, or say anything, because you get rejected on the basis of the pitch deck. So if I ask you for 5 essential slides, and one slide I've seen every startup makes very well is the founder slide. They can write stories about themselves. So that exists. So leaving that aside, if there are 5 slides that need to be done well to be able to show exactly the product, the potential, which are the other 2 that you're looking at, then what would those 5 slides be, and how do they need to portray it? Again, I'm coming back to the fact that, Amit, with your talk, I want to prepare those startups who want to come to you for fundraising.